Hi there, I'm Kate and I have a goal of running 50 miles by the time I'm 50, which is currently about a year and a half away. Now, as part of that journey, I'm going to be running the Stump Jump 50k, which is in just outside Chattanooga in Tennessee. And apparently it's one of the most challenging, if not the most challenging 50Ks in the southeast of the US. And the reason it's so challenging apparently is it's about 90% technical single track, number one. Number two, it's got over 5,000 feet of elevation gain, which apparently makes it classified as not just a hilly ultramarathon, but a mountainous ultramarathon, which all sounds awesome. But I'm going to be doing all my training here in one of the flattest parts of the world, in the Bahamas. So beautiful runs, but pretty much no elevation gain. So my challenge is going to be, how do I train for the hills when there pretty much aren't any? Don't have any access to a treadmill or anything like that. No good stairs around me. There are some small hills, so I think I'm going to have to do a few sessions on those of hill repeats. And I do like weight training, so I'm going to see whether the weight training can maybe be enough training for those hills out in Tennessee. Well, the mountains out in Tennessee. I have done a 50k before, but it was flat. It was called the Buffalo Run in Bluffton in South Carolina. It was perfect first 50k because it was 5 10k loops, all pretty flat, really well supported, great atmosphere. So this is going to be a very different challenge. Now, apparently Ruth Croft, who won the UTMB this year, when she first went out to the Alps and did the CCC Mont Blanc, she was living in Taipei in Taiwan, which is completely flat. And she completely nailed that and won that. So no excuses. So I'm going to show you what this first week of training has looked like. I'm 22 weeks out now from the race. It's in the first week of March. And this week I've just really been seeing how my training is going to look. And seeing really how it's all going to work. I'm now currently, you are joining me on my long run at the end of week 1, and I'm going to be running 6 miles over here. There's a salt pond over there. Anyway, let me show you what this week has looked like. So on Monday, I filmed a run for my virtual treadmill running channel. I'll put a link below if you're interested in having something to watch while you run on a treadmill. And this was the morning after Tropical Storm Imelda had passed, and our power was out, which helped motivate me get out and run. But you can see how the skies and the clouds were pretty dramatic. It was a 2.7 mile run, and I was running at about a 10.5 mile pace. So that makes it actually neither an easy run or a tempo run. So that's something I'll have to consider next week. It's making my runs a bit more focused and more purposeful. Then Tuesday, I did a 40-minute MetCon workout where I did 4 sets and 12 reps of different exercises. These included these kettlebell swings, an awesome full body exercise. Then I did some single-legged deadlifts. I've only filmed my right leg because I get a bit wobbly on my left still. Then I did some thrusters. I hate these, but I can see how they are good for you. And then did some sandbag throws. It's a great practice for throwing heavy stuff around. On Wednesday, I did a 3-mile run with about 6 of these hill repeats. It doesn't look like I'm giving it much welly, but I really am trying. Yeah, looks a little bit better when I speed it up. Anyway, the surface was a little bit loose, so I maybe will try a smoother hill next week and see if I can get a little bit more speed up. Thursday, I did about an hour's session of weightlifting. And again, it was 4 sets of 12 reps. It included deadlifts, which I used to hate, but now I really love. Then I did some squats. And I'm trying to work on getting a little bit lower to the ground, a little bit past that 90 degrees. I also did some glute exercises and some upper body work with the dumbbells. And then Friday was a rest day, and then Saturday I did my long run, which we'll head back to now. Okay, so I'm a mile in, had a chance to warm up a bit. Just gonna start eating trail bar. Feels fine. My legs are still stiff and heavy from the workouts, but hopefully that's going to loosen up a little bit further on. It's a beautiful morning. I've had some really crazy weather here. We're pretty much all of September, and looks like that's how October's starting, but it cleared up in time for this run. Luckily, the sky's looking beautiful. Okay, that was 2 miles. My legs are feeling warmed up now, but this route has been, I can't really say hilly, but surprisingly slopey. So I'm having trouble keeping my heart rate in zone 2, which for me is pretty much below 130, and it's been more like high 140s. So I'm going to try and get that down a bit for the rest of the run, because I really notice I recover much better if I can keep it all in zone 2. Look, running past this big salt pond. If you know anything about birds, absolutely tons of bird life here. Don't really know what I'm looking at, but it's very pretty. Okay, this is mile 5. I thought I'd show you the beach that I've been running next to. Pretty wild, windy and big swell, because we've had Tropical Storm Imelda, Hurricane Humberto. They've passed by now, but they've been giving us some pretty stormy conditions and some big swells. And now we've got a kind of system developing over us. I think it's down moving away, but that's been giving us so lots of rain, wind and swell. But luckily the weather's been good for this run, and I'm not even too sweaty. I'm pretty sweaty, but I would normally be completely drenched by now. And I actually have some dry patches left on my clothes. So that's good news. So maybe that's a sign that as we're coming into October, it's going to cool off a little bit, or at least get a little bit less humid. Coming towards the end of the run now, and I've been thinking about how this week has gone and how training is going to look going forward. So I'm cautiously optimistic that this is going to work. I think I'm just going to have to suck up the hill repeats. It's hard not having a view at the top of the hill, just having to go up and down these short little ones, but I realise that the end goal I will be getting some nice views when I do the Stump Jump. And I think my main way of preparing for the elevation is going to be the weight training. I find it easier to push that than I do the hills. And it's just going to be, the challenge is going to be, how do I balance pushing it with the weight training but also recovering enough that I can go out and run and get the mileage in on these runs. So that's going to be what I'm going to have to figure out moving forward. And the main goal is that it stays fun, because I've really enjoyed training for the last 50k, for the Buffalo Run. I definitely want to keep that enjoyment. I mean, it really hurt and it was really hard, but overall I really enjoyed it. So it's going to be figuring out how to make sure I'm well trained but also enjoying myself, because this is my hobby. So, alright, very nearly done now. Coming up to 6 miles. Beautiful views of the ocean. Kind of thinking about what I'm eating for breakfast, and really thinking about having a nice cup of tea. Thanks for coming with me for this run, and thanks for joining me for this first week of training. I'll see you next week.